Synths. The Institute accomplished what no other organization in Fallout could. They created perfect human replicas that were impossible to distinguish from the real thing. Synths became the cornerstone of Fallout 4's story, representing the Institute's decades of research into artificial life. The Institute built 3 generations of these beings over the years. The first 2 generations were clearly robotic, metal skeletons covered in synthetic skin that couldn't fool anyone up close. But when the Institute perfected Generation 3 synths, they crossed a line that changed everything. Generation 3 synths are barely machines at all. They're living, breathing organisms grown from actual human DNA, developed over 5 decades, using Sean's uncontaminated pre-war genetic code as the foundation. The Institute combined this pure DNA with modified F.E.V research to grow fully biological beings from scratch. Real bones, real muscles, real organs assembled in their underground laboratories. And again, they're completely indistinguishable from natural humans. They bleed real blood, and according to a dedicated anti-synth scientist, Dr. Rosalind Chambers, no medical test can identify them without cutting them open. The only difference is a neurological implant buried in their brain that lets the Institute program fake memories and issue commands through simple voice activation. This technology turned them into perfect infiltrators and spies. The Institute systematically kidnapped people across the Commonwealth and replaced them with identical synth duplicates who reported everything back to their masters.
Is it going to be painful?
Yes. It's going to be like having everything you are ripped out and replaced with something else. Someone else.
Even high-ranking officials weren't safe from replacement. Mayor McDonough of Diamond City was secretly a synth controlled by the Institute, meaning the Commonwealth's largest settlement was being run by their enemy for years without anyone knowing. The GECK. Vault-Tec promised their Vault Dwellers a miracle device that could transform nuclear wasteland into paradise with the push of a button. The Garden of Eden creation kit appeared in Fallout 2, almost as a myth, and became one of the most sought-after pieces of technology in the wasteland. You'd think with all this power, the GECK would be the size of a data center, but you'd be wrong, because Vault-Tec made sure that everything you'd need to restart civilization fit inside a single silver briefcase. Seed stocks, soil supplements, atmospheric stabilizers, water purifiers, and a cold fusion power generator. Now, cold fusion in our world is considered as something that violates our understanding of physics. Yet somehow Vault-Tec not only cracked it, but miniaturized the technology enough to fit alongside everything else in a briefcase you could carry with one hand. This generator alone could provide unlimited power to an entire settlement indefinitely. The kit also included the Library of Congress and detailed instructions for rebuilding society from scratch. Sounds impossible, but it delivers on its promise. Both Vault City and Shady Sands used GECKs to transform into dominant regional powers, proving the technology actually delivered on its promise. In a wasteland where clean water meant survival, the GECK was civilization in a box and the ultimate trump card. F.E.V. West Tech thought they were developing a cure for the new plague, but they instead created something far more dangerous, a bioweapon that could forcibly rewrite DNA and transform humans into terrifying creatures. The forced evolutionary virus was first mentioned in the original Fallout and became the explanation for most of the wasteland's horrific creatures. Research testing on the virus made subjects bigger, stronger, and potentially smarter, so the military immediately saw the potential and wanted to weaponize it. They forcibly took control of the research and moved the operations to the newly constructed Mariposa military base in 2077. But the real power of the F.E.V. was truly shown post-war. You see, each strain of the virus created its own killing machines. For example, Vault 87's version made mindless killing machines that only wanted to create more super mutants by infecting anyone they captured. They also grew with age and became more unintelligent, eventually becoming behemoths that are hard to kill. Meanwhile, the Institute's strain made smart super mutants who could plan ambushes, build defenses, and work together like trained soldiers. But the F.E.V. doesn't exclusively create super mutants. In West Tech's case, they contaminated Huntersville's water supply before the war in a secret experiment, and it also created monsters like Snallygasters and Grafton monsters. This makes the F.E.V. so dangerous because any group with bad intentions who gets a hold of it can pretty much create a powerful army to do anything. And this was proven by the master who discovered Mariposa military base. He used the pre-existing F.E.V. 2 vats to build his super mutant army. The Enclave turned it into a weapon that killed people through organ failure in under an hour. Meanwhile, the Institute used it to create their Gen 3 synths. Every faction that got their hands on F.E.V. knew they could use it to either rebuild humanity or wipe it out completely. Cold fusion. In the real world, cold fusion is considered impossible and borderline pseudoscience that violates our understanding of physics. But in the Fallout universe, they've made it happen. Lee Moldaver cracked infinite energy before the Great War, and the technology resurfaced in the Fallout TV series as the ultimate game changer. The entire cold fusion reaction is catalyzed by a diode the size of a grain of rice. That tiny piece of technology can power entire cities indefinitely with zero fuel requirements. Moldaver lit up the ruins of Los Angeles within moments, a city that had been dark for 2 centuries, suddenly blazing with light from a single compact device. The Brotherhood of Steel Steel immediately understood what they were looking at and seized the technology. With cold fusion, they could recharge unlimited fusion cores forever, meaning their power armor and weapons would never run out of energy. Think about what that means for the wasteland. No more fighting over generators, no more rationing electricity, no more choosing between powering defenses or keeping the lights on. Cold fusion doesn't just solve the energy crisis, it eliminates energy as a limiting factor entirely. In a world where a working car battery is valuable enough to kill for, whoever controlled cold fusion held the most power, something the Brotherhood and Moldaver understood very well. But after seizing the reactor, the Knights of San Fernando chapter transported it to Area 51, hoping to use it alongside the base's arsenal of pre-war technology to overthrow the Commonwealth Brotherhood and reposition themselves as the dominant chapter. This just means the cold fusion technology was valuable enough to trigger internal wars even within the Brotherhood itself. Liberty Prime. The United States Army built a 40-foot-tall walking tank that throws nuclear bombs like footballs while shouting anti-communist propaganda. Liberty Prime debuted in Fallout 3 as the pre-war military's answer to the question, what if we made a robot too powerful to actually exist? Its dual head-mounted energy beams vaporize multiple soldiers with single shots, firing blasts comparable to Tesla cannons. The backpack holds an unlimited supply of nuclear bombs that Prime hurls at enemies, each one detonating on contact. Prime is completely immune to conventional weapons and tears through pretty much anything. When the Brotherhood finally powered it up in 2277 after 2 centuries of dormancy, Prime bulldozed through fortified Enclave positions, destroyed vertibirds mid-flight, and reduced entire military installations to rubble. Not a lot of things can stand against Liberty Prime. It can grab a super mutant behemoth by the head and rip it clean off with one arm like it's pulling weeds. The only way the Enclave could stop it was an orbital missile strike from space, and even that just delayed the inevitable. But eventually the Brotherhood rebuilt Prime even stronger as Mark II, and when it attacked the Institute, it bored straight through the ground with its eye laser to reach an underground fortress nobody else could touch. One robot that requires weapons from orbit to destroy means you've already won. Archimedes. Helios 1 in Fallout New Vegas was marketed as a solar power plant, but the facility was actually built to control a weaponized satellite in space. That satellite is Archimedes, and it works by focusing solar energy from massive collector arrays and redirecting it through a satellite as a concentrated beam weapon that can destroy pretty much anything. During pre-war testing, the weapon proved so powerful, it overloaded systems for miles around despite every safety measure in place, shutting down the entire Helios facility and frying electronics at distant locations like Black Mountain and the Brotherhood bunkers at Hidden Valley. Remember, that was during controlled testing with active safety protocols. When you activate Archimedes at full power, it delivers an orbital strike that instantly incinerates everything in the target zone, reducing entire squads to ash in seconds with pinpoint accuracy. The only downside to this is that it can run out of energy, but that shouldn't be a big deal if you can obliterate all your enemies in one shot. The enemy can't really shoot back at a satellite they can't reach or jam its signal because they can't predict where the next strike will come from, so whoever has control of this weapon can pretty much turn the tide of any fight. Molecular Relay. The Institute in Fallout 4 is no stranger to impossible tasks. Besides the creation of perfect androids through their Synths project, they also managed to create a machine that can teleport people instantly anywhere. The molecular relay works by breaking someone down at the molecular level in one location and rebuilding them perfectly somewhere else with zero travel time, kinda like the Star Trek transporter technology. This became the Institute's primary way of reaching the surface world, and it's exactly why nobody could fight them effectively for over a century. Think about what instant teleportation means in combat. The Institute could deploy synth strike teams anywhere in the Commonwealth without warning, complete their mission, and vanish before anyone could respond. No supply convoys to ambush or patrol routes to predict. Their forces literally materialized out of thin air, struck, and disappeared. This made the Institute nearly impossible to attack because their facility was completely inaccessible underground, and the only way to reach them was building your own signal interceptor on the surface. That required advanced technology most wastelanders had never seen: biometric scanners, military-grade circuit boards, and a power generator strong enough to punch through reality itself. When the sole survivor finally built a working interceptor, they accomplished in one moment what the entire wasteland couldn't do in a century. They bypassed the Institute's perfect security and reached a facility that was supposed to be untouchable. Cryonics. Pre-war companies promised that freezing yourself could let you skip the apocalypse entirely and wake up in a better future. It appeared throughout Fallout, but Vault 111 in Fallout 4 proved it actually works exactly as advertised when the sole survivor was frozen for 210 years and woke up physically identical to the day the bombs fell. Now, In a world where radiation, disease, and violence kill most people before they hit 40, being able to skip forward through time is an insane power. The smartest man in the Fallout universe, Robert House, understood this perfectly, which is why he used cryonic life support to stay alive and mentally sharp for over 2 centuries while building his New Vegas empire. John Caleb Bradburton pushed this technology further by having his head surgically removed and placed in a life support chamber, proving that cryonics could preserve even a severed head indefinitely. In the TV series, Vault 31 executives used the same technology to create an immortal shadow government, freezing themselves and periodically waking up to manage Vault-Tech's plans across generations. The only real downside of this technology is that it fails completely if the cryo-storage is destroyed or the chambers themselves malfunction. This is exactly what happened in Vault 111, leaving the sole survivor as the only remaining Vault resident. It's practical immortality without mutations, without becoming a ghoul, and without losing your humanity. And that wraps up Fallout's most overpowered technology explained. If you had access to just one of these technologies, which would you choose to survive? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Fallout lore dives.